So hello fellow Earthlings. This is Earthling 6455463728. And Black and Asian people with regard to intelligence in the United States. So Asian people are supposed to be very intelligent when it comes to math and science and so on. And Black people are supposed to be, well, let's be honest, according to what the stereotype is, the least intelligent people on the planet. And supposedly, especially according to this book called The Bell Curve, that was released in the US a long time ago, that's what it showed, that genetically speaking, Black people are less intelligent than white people. And I don't know if they went into the fact that Asian people might be more intelligent than white people, or the most intelligent race per se. But I think that's an idea that many people in the US and the rest of the world would have. And I just wanted to go through all of the reasons why that belief that we have, that regular people, for whatever reason, have, is completely and utterly ridiculous. Now, let's go through a couple of different things. For one thing, the Black people that live in the United States, for example, would have been mostly the descendants of slaves from West Africa. So that means that, and this is by no means, I'm not saying that this is correct, but let's say one were to say that, okay, genetically speaking, Black people are less intelligent than Asian people or white people. That would just be primarily West African people. So there's that. The next thing is that the Asian people who are supposed to be the intelligent people, the ones that are seen going into the developed world and into the US, that's not your average Asian person. They didn't shake it up a bag of Asian people and say, okay, let's pick one at random and take them out. Of course not. These are going to be people of means and of education to be able to get into the US. China, for example, or India, has a huge population. As a matter of fact, the whole of Asia represents about 60% of the population of the planet. So the Asian people that are seen in the Western world are going to be the people who find it the easiest to get to the Western world and to live there, to migrate. So the idea that these people are representative of all of the people that are in Asia is ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense at all. The fact that when Asian people come to the US, they are on average, as a whole, much more educated than the population, the US population. They normally would have master's degrees, bachelor's degrees, PhDs to a higher extent than people who are in the US. So that makes them appear smarter. But they aren't the average person from Asia, as I would have mentioned. Also, when you break it down by nationality, you realize that given the silly way in which Asian people have been classified, it means that Filipino people, Vietnamese, Thai people, Malaysian people, did I say Indonesian already? Chinese and Indian people. When you look at these people, all of these different people, by their nationality, you realize that there can be a stark difference in the education of all of these people by their nationality, because some countries are going to have more resources, much more resources than others. I mean, if you look at that, I'm just going to guess at China. China has about the per capita GDP per capita around the same as, let's say, Dominican Republic, I believe it is, in the raw numbers, not the PPP broken down. But I'm really, really sure, because Vietnamese and Thai people go to China looking for work. So obviously, life, however, bad it is per capita in China, it's a heck of a lot better than in Vietnam or in Thailand. And that's why these people go to China looking for work. So when you do break it down, you realize that no, the Vietnamese, the Thai, the Filipino people are not coming to the US with as many degrees like PhDs and so on as even people from the US. So just by and large, the people that come to the US are not representative of Asians. And even if you were to say, okay, maybe they are, you can see that there's a very, very wide spread of education, of wealth, of means, because there's so many people that we call Asians. From another perspective, human beings evolved in Africa. All right? So that means that the people who are not in Africa are just some of the people that left Africa. Now, unless we're saying that the smartest people left Africa, and then when they went to Europe, the smartest of those people went to Asia, the whole idea that Asian people are going to be the smartest is ridiculous. Was there a border crossing 200,000 years ago or 70,000 years ago when a lot of these humans left Africa? Was there somebody passing out an IQ test and the people who didn't pass, they weren't allowed to leave? It's absurd to think that would be the case. That doesn't make any sense at all. So let's say that we, for a moment, because it's not true, let's say we say that intelligence is genetically, it comes from genetics, all right? And yes, to a degree, it does come from genetics, but there's no gene for intelligence. If anything, there are hundreds of genes that play a role in intelligence. But let's pretend that there's an intelligent gene or degrees to which a particular gene or different genes can affect intelligence. Africa and the people in Africa have the widest diversity of genetics compared to everybody else outside of Africa combined. So if you're going to have the most intelligent person in the world, per se, or group, or tribe, or anything in the way that you want to put it, they're probably going to be in Africa, rather than a small sample size of people that left Africa, went to Europe and Asia and the Americas. If you compare again, now a white person and an Asian person are more closely related to each other than two African people might be related to each other. So the only way that you can come up and believe the idea that Africans collectively are not as intelligent is, again, if you have some ridiculous idea that, one, only the most intelligent people left Africa. There was a poll, there was a prize, and they got a free plane ticket or foot trek out of Africa around the world. Or there is something amazing in Europe or Asia that made these people much smarter. Now, even if you look at the people who are in the US, for example, let's exclude everybody else. The genetic diversity of the people, the black people in the US, is higher than the genetic diversity of the white people that are in the US. So the idea, again, that white people on average, and even Asian people, are going to be smarter because the genetic diversity of the Asian people who are in America is going to be even smaller than the genetic diversity of the white people in the US, and even smaller still, of course, than the genetic diversity of the black people that are in America. Anyway, It doesn't make any sense. The tallest group of people in the world live in Africa. The shortest group of people in the world live in Africa. That's Bushmen of Africa and the Maasai, I think, are the tallest people in the world. And that's an example of genetic diversity at play in Africa. So it's really hard to make any intelligent sense of people looking at the small sample sizes that they see in the US and believing that this is representative of the entire world. It's ridiculous. As I would have mentioned, the Asian people who are coming to the US, primarily the Chinese people and Indian people who have these advanced degrees, they are going to be able to help their kids, give their kids, extra tutoring and assistance, even if they're poor. Even if they're poor, they know the path to getting these degrees. It would be part of what they expect of their kids. It would be them, there's embarrassment if the kids don't succeed. But one thing that I wanted to point out, in Ferguson, the place where, I can't remember the kid's name, I think his name was Brown, but he was killed in Ferguson and there were the riots. The school that he attended was scored out of 120 points, and his school had 20 out of 120 points. That's the level of schooling that is representative of many of the schools that black people in the US might attend. Of course, all of them might not be that bad. Some of them might be fantastic. But on average, the quality of schooling is going to be much lower than what a white person or an Asian person who is going to encounter. Because Asian people who already have migrated to the US are going to call upon other Asians of related heritage and ask, okay, we have similar levels of education. Where should I send my kids? Where should I move to in order for them to get the best schooling? Black people in the US are not going to have that mobility, that ease of mobility, or even connectedness to be able to make decisions like that. So overall, the comparison between black people and Asians and the stereotype is not intelligent. Anyway, guys, wish me lucks. That's LUCSS. You can like or unlike. You can comment, subscribe, and or share. And I don't prefer it, but you can always do nothing. Peace.